There are a few reasons why I think the Mavic Air 2 is probably the perfect first drone if you're looking to buy your first drone, or if you're looking to upgrade from the Mavic Pro original or the original Mavic Air. But there's one reason why I'm not going to keep this drone. Hey, if we haven't met, my name is Sloan, and I create content here on YouTube for solo creators, people like me who are on the go, out and about, exploring the world, creating content while they do. So I do reviews of equipment that makes the process easier, and tips and tutorials on how to use it, especially when you're filming yourself. The Mavic Air 2 is definitely one of the best drones that DJI has put out to date. We shouldn't be surprised. Drones get better every year, and this one is definitely no exception. It has vastly improved from the original. It's even pushing the Mavic 2 Pro a little bit on specs. First, let's talk about the strengths of this drone. One of the best things about this is that it has a 34-minute flight time, was what DJI says, but realistically it's closer to about 27 to 29 minutes depending on how you fly it. But that's a really long flight time for one battery. And these batteries are not that big, which is great if you're out on the go and you only want to take two. You get almost an hour of flight time, which is more than enough for most occasions, even when I'm out doing stuff like this. The next great thing about this thing is the half-inch sensor right here. The half-inch sensor gives you a lot of really good image quality, especially when you're filming in 4K. The HDR 4K is really nice, the regular 4K is really nice, and if you use the H.265 codec, you get really, really great video out of this drone. Impressively good video. The only place where the Mavic 2 Pro probably does a little better is in very low light, but I've been surprised at how well this does in low light, even on its own. On photo quality, it gives you 48 megapixel photos because of the way the sensor in here is designed. It's a quad Bayer sensor, so it gives you essentially 4 times the 12 megapixel, but it gives you 4 times that for the photos. So you get these really great detailed photos that are really good quality. I was surprised at how detailed and how good the quality of the photos coming out of this drone are. Another strength of this drone is it's actually really powerful. I was surprised. The original Mavic Air really struggled in certain situations where the Mavic 2 Pro definitely didn't, but this drone has kept up with the Mavic 2 Pro in every situation I've thrown at it, including pretty high winds, like up to 25, 30 miles an hour. It's had no problem. In fact, right where we're sitting, I'm sitting down on the ground behind a big rock because there's about a 30-mile-an-hour wind that I've been, but everything I filmed today, this drone has had no problems at all. Another great thing that I'm so glad DJI upgraded from the original Mavic Air was putting OcuSync 2.0. That's their proprietary link between this and the controller, and it is rock solid. I can get a ton of range out of this drone, still get fantastic full HD video downlink to the remote control, and see everything really well while I'm flying and while I'm filming with this. A great reason to pick this as your first drone is that it has really good obstacle avoidance. It has front sensors, rear sensors, and downward sensors. The only place this doesn't compete with other drones on the market, or like the Mavic 2 Pro, it doesn't have upward sensors or side sensors. Now granted, even on the Mavic 2 Pro, those side sensors were only active in certain intelligent flight modes and tripod mode, otherwise they were turned off. So you still kind of had to keep an eye on obstacles around you. But this drone does do really well at finding a good flight path through obstacles that it can see. And what I mean is, like, not tiny little branches that are super fine and super hard to see, but trees, larger obstacles. This drone does a really good job of finding a path through those things and not hitting them, assuming, of course, you have obstacle avoidance and APAS on. And I think one of the biggest things that makes this a great drone for solo creators and a great first drone for most people is it goes in. It's so small. It's great that way. Something else that's fantastic about the Mavic Air 2 is that it is quiet. It is the quietest drone that I think I've ever heard. DJI did a great job with the new propellers, but also the pitch is different. It's lower than it used to be. I mean, the original Mavic Air was really loud and annoying anyway, but this is much, much better. So it's easy to get. I mean, I'm 30 feet away and you can barely even hear it, and that's fantastic. Now, let's talk about the controller, because in another video I did, which you can see right here, comparing this to the Skydio, I complained about the size of the controller. I still don't like that it's a large controller, but I have to say, the controls on it are really good. The drone responds just great to control input when you're using the joysticks, and the controller does feel nice in the hand. I love the fact that your phone now goes in here and the antennas are built in here, so there's no extra antennas to fold out or to accidentally get broken in your bag if they happen to get hit. And the fact that this has a really large battery that will charge your phone while you're flying is great, because if you do anything in colder environments like this or like Alaska in the wintertime, then your phone battery dies really quickly unless you have something charging it. This will help keep the battery going in your phone a lot longer, which is really, really nice if you're flying for a long time in a cold environment. Now, there are a few downsides. The controller doesn't have an information display like the Mavic 2 Pro does. It's not that big a deal. The fact that the phone is now on top makes it easy to see all the information you need. Although I do hope that DJI works more on the app and gives us some more information about, say, what sort of things are going on with the camera in real time. Right now they're kind of hidden in menus and you got to find them if you're using auto modes. Honestly, auto modes work great for the most part, but if you want to know more about what's going on, it's a little bit harder to find those things. So I did mention it before, but the controller is a little bit large, which makes it a little harder to take with you, but it's not that much larger that it's a deal breaker in my opinion. And the fact that they have OcuSync 2.0 in this with a really rock solid connection for a great distance is really nice. Let's talk about the downsides of this drone. I already mentioned one. It doesn't have any side or upward obstacle avoidance, so you've got to be careful when you're flying around objects and you're going sideways or you're having it track you sideways. That's on you. You really need to watch out for that. They did improve the front tracking, where the drone tracks you from the front as you're moving toward it. However, I found it to be really inconsistent. Now, I think DJI could probably improve that over time with firmware updates, but it is a much more difficult thing for the drone to do from a processing standpoint. I don't know why, but it is, and so it is kind of inconsistent. From the rear, from the side, it generally does a good job, but if you want it to track you and you're dressed like this, in an environment like this, where you somewhat blend into the surroundings, it does struggle a little bit because it has a hard time seeing you versus what's around you. So the more contrast you have with you against your surroundings, the easier time the drone will have tracking you. Another thing that I've noticed is different on this compared to the Mavic 2 Pro. I don't know why, but it is. This takes much longer to get a good solid GPS lock, like in the order of maybe 30 seconds to a minute longer than my Mavic 2 Pro does. I don't know why. I would assume they're using the same GPS chip in here, but it could be something that I deal with because I'm out in places like this and I'm way up north where we have less GPS satellites to grab, and sometimes I'm in mountains that are actually blocking most of the satellite GPS signals. But I have noticed that it does take longer, even in the same locations I've flown my Mavic 2 Pro in, to grab GPS lock with a lot of satellites. Something that's a little bit of a downside is this doesn't have a physical aperture like the Mavic 2 Pro does. Now, it does do fine in most conditions, and if you get the Fly More pack, it does come with a couple of ND filters, but I would highly recommend picking up a pack like this from Freewell. These Freewell filters are fantastic. This is their 4K all-day pack, and it comes with an ND4, ND8, ND16 regular, and then it comes with a circular polarizer. So if you do a lot of photo work, that's great. And then it has an ND8, ND16, ND32, and ND64 also that are combination ND filters and polarized filters. This is a great pack because it will basically get you through any situation you could possibly find you need ND filters for. And finally, why am I not going to keep this drone? I'm not going to keep this drone because I need 10-bit color. There are occasionally jobs that I have as a commercial drone pilot that my clients really need 10-bit color, and so that is the reason that I'm going to be staying with the Mavic 2 Pro. If I could justify keeping the Skydio 2, the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic Air 2, I totally would, because this is a fantastic travel drone. Now, if you want to learn how to get the most out of your drone and out of your drone footage, I've put together a small playlist right here. Click there and I will take you through how to get better footage, better video, better photos, and use your drone to its fullest potential. If you've got any questions, ask me in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Cheers.